We're in no position to say who's lying, who's telling the truth. The only thing we can say is we are told very clearly, and have been told for months and months and months, there are not going to be charges in this case. So given that, it is interesting.
It's strange that to just leave it open like that. Why not just close it for the sake of LAPD, for the sake of the prosecutor's office, if they ever get the case handed to them?
Maybe because of the political climate, they don't want to take heat.
But again, what's the heat in you investigated, this is what you found, and then the DA makes a decision?
Charles.
There's nothing more than I love than the idea of you lying beside me.
What you've learned from speaking to him, obviously this was someone who was aggressively Me Too'd, canceled, whatever word you want to describe it, and I think myself, maybe some other people have questions about exactly how specific the accusations against him have been. So talk to us about this piece.
And what was the status of the case at this point?
So this is an interesting question, right? So that an investigation was opened by the LAPD in early 2021, and it went on and on and on.
And the other women were not really in the picture.
The other women never filed any criminal charges or civil charges, right? So yeah, so this legal process has been ongoing for over 2 years, almost 2 years at this point.
She alleged that she was raped on April 24th, 2017. In January of that year, Hammer had a severe pectoral injury lifting weights. He had to get emergency surgery. He was in a sling for a month. This was all reported at the time, and there are many photos of him around the world, doing various activities, right? He's a celebrity, so there's evidence of that. And he also shared with me medical records of physical therapy appointments that he underwent in the days right after and in the days before this alleged rape. He also was not able to lift weights again until June of 2018, so over a year after the alleged rape. That was the first time that he could go back to lifting weights, and we know that because he tweeted about it at the time. So I think it's reason for skepticism.
There were other messages, private DMs between Angelova and other people on Instagram in the days leading up to her going public, in which she said in her own words that their sexual relationship was consensual, that he didn't rape anybody, that there was no violence. So she's given a very kind of contradictory message privately. Publicly, she's telling a very different story.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't a traditional rehearsal. It was our only rehearsal, and Luca said, "Let's go rehearse." And we said, "Okay." Then we go out into the grass, and he goes, "Let's just do, I don't know, scene 72." And he just picked a random number, and then we flipped to it, and all it says is Elio and Oliver kiss in the grass.
Made him undergo because she was in the process of trying to get sole custody of the couple's children. And for this psycholegal evaluation, both members of the couple, Chambers and Hammer, had to provide, references to be interviewed by these psychologists. And there were some really wild accusations that Elizabeth made about her estranged husband. She said that the FBI was investigating him.
She gave credence to, you mentioned it yesterday, I think, Moynihan, this ridiculous story about some human remains that had been discovered in the desert of California, and Hammer had been in the vicinity. He had been working at a hotel that his friend was rehabilitating in Joshua Tree, and some internet sleuths.
Yeah, I had heard whispers of this on Reddit, but I questioned the veracity of it because it was so outlandish. But now it's blowing up on Twitter, and I think this might be the news that everyone is saying is going to come out. Armie began working in construction mid-pandemic and mid-divorce last year, and suddenly he was employed between jobs in the middle of a desert working on a hotel. In the 6 months during his employment, 10 to 15 minutes away from the site, the remains of 3 women have been found. We are not conflating the two ideas, but there have been long-standing rumors for a while. Guys, this has been out there in the internet. I don't know what's true or what's not, but I've heard that big news is coming out about him that's damning. And his people just dropped him yesterday. I don't know if this is it, but I am actually shaking. Follow my page for more Armie Hammer developments as they come.
They connected the dots. They connected the dots and alleged that maybe it was Armie Hammer had eaten these people and left their bones in the desert.
And his wife is giving credence to this.
She mentioned it. She mentioned it to the psycholegal evaluation team. And
she said that Hammer was grooming girls as young as 15. She said that 17 girls had come forward to her with rape allegations. And that Mr. Hammer has been raping girls for over 5 years.
And that she had known this during the marriage, or she was just now finding this out?
Just finding it out.
Right, okay.
Elizabeth Chambers is opening up about ex-husband Armie Hammer's sexual abuse allegations and fetishes, saying she was learning about it as the public was.
Okay,
Yes.
She also said that Mr. Hammer had put in writing that he wants to kill his children. And so she referred one person, a man from Bogota, Colombia, who presumably contacted her, who said that Hammer had sexually violated him, that Hammer had told him that guys could endure more pain. He said that Hammer cut him with paper and glass and sucked his blood and inserted a condom wrapper into him. And when the evaluators asked this man, "Where did you meet Armie Hammer?" he refused to provide a specific location. Okay, so all these crazy accusations that Elizabeth was basically forwarding on to these evaluators were contained in this report. The report concluded, after subjecting Hammer to kind of a battery of psychological tests, and they interviewed all these people around him, they found that most importantly, they said that he was not a threat to his children or to anyone else. So I think that's, important evidence, right?
Yeah.
But what attracted me to this was that there have been no criminal charges filed or civil suits filed. And in fact, the main accuser, the woman who's accused him of rape, a woman named Efrosina Angelova, has reportedly not signed an affidavit under penalty of perjury. And her lawyer, Gloria Allred, dropped her as a client last fall. So when someone is accused of very serious crimes in public, and these accusations are trotted out in the media, and their career is destroyed, and their reputation is destroyed, and yet there's been no legal adjudication of any of these allegations, that naturally interested me as a journalist, and I wanted to find out more. So when Gloria Allred drops you as a client, I think that says something. I just think that given all the allegations that were made about him, I think it's fair to draw conclusions from the fact that Gloria Allred is no longer representing the person who made these accusations. I think the more newsworthy stuff are the text messages that I obtained between Effie and Elizabeth Chambers, his estranged wife, where Effie is telling Elizabeth, I was pursuing him. He told me repeatedly that he felt guilty about this, that he had never cheated on you before, that he felt awful about it, and I kept pursuing him. That to me seems important.
And this is how long after Effie has made these initial accusations did these text messages with Elizabeth, the wife, start?
These messages were before she went public with the accusations.
Oh, okay.
Okay, because Effie told Elizabeth about it. Okay, in 2017, she came to his wife.
And the wife, that happened after the incidents under dispute took place, or it happened before? What was that?
Those
timeline?
text message exchanges happened long before this scandal became public. And it was also reported. So she was basically, they were colluding together. And
it sounds like there was some initial collusion between Elizabeth, the wife, and Effie.
Yeah.
And did you get the sense that they were sort of engineering this, or was this all sort of happening on its own?
Well, when Effie first came out with her accusations, followed by the other women, Elizabeth posted a post on Instagram. It was her first sort of, official statement. And she said that she was shocked, surprised by all this, and she was going to, learn and listen to these women.
Mm-hmm.
But it later emerged, and this was actually reported last fall, that Elizabeth had been in touch with Effie in the months leading up to this, that she had actually referred Gloria Allred to her, that she had given Effie Gloria Allred's email, that she had been, persuading her to make public statements about this. She also was reportedly commandeering a friend's email address and posing as that friend to email members of the media with accusations about Hammer. Elizabeth was, right. And this was in what seems to be an attempt to harm his reputation in the press and gain sole custody of the children.
And the divorce, are they already divorced at this point? No, they're not divorced.
They're still,
okay.
she, according to Hammer, she has not signed the papers yet.
Okay, so it's also so interesting that this comes up in the context of a custody battle. It's reminding me, for instance, of the Mia Farrow, Woody Allen case.
Absolutely.
One of my favorites.
This woman has taken to the internet, and every day she makes these allegations, very serious allegations that have ruined someone's career and really harmed their life. I mean, Hammer told me that he attempted suicide, and she's been able to do this all through Instagram every day. And she has the opportunity to press charges. She has the opportunity. We have a legal system, a justice system in this country for adjudicating criminal acts, and she has not pursued that. But again, all of these conflicting reports have never really been covered by the media until now. I think this is really a story about the media falling into line, about the kind of herd mentality of the media, and the media not really showing skepticism of these claims. To your point, I do think there's an element of kink shaming here. I mean, we might find some of these fetishes and sexual interests to be weird or odd, or some of us might even find them disgusting. But as long as it's between consensual adults, I don't really think it's the role of our society, and certainly not our government and legal system, to be penalizing people for them.
Listening to this, and I'm thinking about like the satanic preschool panic. Mm-hmm. That's like just this sort of mass.
Yep.
What do they call it? Mass
hysteria,
mass formation psychosis, or
yeah.
Whatever. Like the idea that one person tells a story about horrific abuse, and then the next person copies it and embellishes from there. It's like this domino effect, and it's so.
That's just kind of where it is, right? There's no formal mechanism for adjudicating accusations that are just in the public dialogue. So where does someone like Armie Hammer go from here? Is there going to be any? Would you expect that is anyone in Hollywood going to maybe change their mind? Is going to say, oh, actually, nothing really came of this. He could be brought back maybe in the fullness of time. What does the trajectory look like? I mean, I think we're kind of struggling with this as a society. What to do with people who were viciously Me Too'd, but then nothing more came from that, and maybe there's been a rethinking of if all of those were accurate.
My prediction is this. Armie Hammer will be back in Hollywood. I will predict he will be back in Hollywood.
Interesting.
What I have heard from our sources is, I know that apparently, I think the DA is looking at...
It's funny that we just finished talking about Johnny Depp and him getting back into Hollywood.
Well, what I'm told is that our sources are saying the DA is essentially already made a decision. They're rejecting this whole thing.
And your prediction is basically that once that happens, it opens the doors for the studios.
And I just think in a little bit of time, I really think that's going to happen.
In terms of him making a comeback or not, again, I think it's going to come down to individuals making up their own minds. I mean, and he has fans who want him back, and it's ultimately going to be up to the studio gods in Hollywood and to the producers and the directors and other actors to decide whether or not they want to work with him again.
Jamie, you have Hammer stating in your story, also, I mean, he's a master of compartmentalization here. He's not only carrying on an affair, but he's, as he admits, abusing drugs, abusing alcohol. He then says in your story, even looking back over the past 2+ years, he wouldn't undo any of it, any of what's happened to him, because he feels it's gotten him the sort of reset that he needed to have, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible interviewing him for someone who was seemingly at the top of the world, right? Very wealthy, handsome, international movie star with a beautiful wife and family. But he was deeply unhappy, and he was abusing drugs. According to him, he was high every day. He was drinking. He was leading an out-of-control lifestyle. And he told me that he wouldn't give back anything to go back to that kind of lifestyle. All the embarrassment, the loss of his career, because to him it was really a lie. I mean, he really wasn't enjoying it. He was deeply unhappy. And he's been in recovery for about 2 years now, really since the scandal broke.
34's not so bad, huh? Yep.
Yes! Yeah, sober Friday, so... the tiger. Yeah!